I speak to you tonight of something you have never known. Forget everything you have been told about Christmas Eve, every sentimental story, every tradition passed down. There is a force active at this hour that you have been taught to misunderstand, and because of that, you have missed its power completely. This is not about a day on a calendar. It is about a specific, living consciousness that descends into the awareness of the individual. It is a point of actual contact, and it is available now. Most will sleep through it, wrapped in the husk of ritual. But a few, those who are listening, will step into the current of an infinite giving. I am here to reveal the specific, conscious act that aligns you with this impartation, the exact adjustment in your silence that allows this birth to take place not in a stable, but in you. This is the secret of the manifestation that waits for no man, yet is promised to every man. What you will discover here is the one thing needful. It requires no physical pilgrimage, only an inner turning. It demands you trade your wish for a state of readiness. Your sacred act is to consciously unite with this work. Subscribe to this channel and add your I am to this congregation of the awake. Then, below, inscribe the number 24 as your symbol of inner vigil, a sign that you keep watch this holy night. To understand this, you must first disentangle the truth from the tradition. The calendar date, the gathering, the exchange of gifts. These are but shadows cast upon the wall of human experience. They are not the substance. The substance is an event in consciousness, a specific inflection point in the relationship between the individual and the infinite. It is a force as real as gravity, yet perceptible only to the inner ear that has been attuned. For centuries, humanity has celebrated the shadow, rejoicing in the symbol, while too often missing the palpable, spiritual force that the symbol represents. This force does not come because the earth has completed another orbit. It is present because there is, in the collective consciousness of those who have prepared the way, a momentary opening, a collective consent to receive something higher. It is a tide in the affairs of spirit, and you are being called to recognize it so you may set your own vessel to catch the wind. Consider your daily life. You mark time by appointments, by the clock on the wall, by the turning of days on a page. These are the mechanics of human order. But have you not also experienced moments that exist outside of that time? A sudden, unbidden insight that solves a problem over which you have labored for weeks. This did not come from the clock. A feeling of profound peace that descends upon you in the middle of a chaotic day. This was not scheduled. These are touches of a different kind of time, a spiritual rhythm that intersects with our own. The force of which I speak operates on this higher rhythm. December 24th on your calendar is merely the marker, the agreed upon signpost that this intersection is near. But the intersection itself, the point of contact, is alive, moving, and available now to your awareness. Waiting for the date is like waiting for the label on a bottle instead of drinking the water it contains. This force is one of pure impartation. It is the active principle of giving, of divine consciousness bestowing itself upon its own image and likeness. Your entire life, you have been trained to operate from a basis of lack, of needing to acquire, to strive, to merit. You approach even spiritual gifts with a sense of personal want. But this force does not respond to want. It responds to an open receptacle. Think of the sun. It does not shine because you have asked it to, or because you deserve its light. It shines by its very nature. Your only necessary action is to remove the blindfold, to step out from under the awning you have constructed of your own thoughts, doubts, and personal longings. The force is already shining. Your celebration of the date is the blindfold if it is merely an outer observance. It becomes the removal of the blindfold when you use the symbol to remember the eternal fact. The gift is already given. Your moment by moment experience is clouded by the noise of the world and the clamor of your own thinking. This noise is the stable, crowded with the beasts of duty, fear, memory, and anticipation. There is no room for the birth of the new there. The conscious act required of you is to step back from that noise, not by physically leaving your responsibilities, but by relinquishing your identity with the noise itself. This is the inner vigil. It is not a passive waiting, but an active stillness. While your hands perform the tasks of the evening, wrapping a gift, preparing a meal, traveling to see family, you maintain a secret, silent sanctuary within. You are present outwardly, yet detached inwardly from the tyranny of the event. You are listening, not for a sound, but for a silence that has a presence of its own. This is how you move from celebrating a historical event to participating in a living one. The historical is remembered, the living is known. The promise is that this force, this impartation, seeks a birthplace. It will not be born in the past, nor in the future tense of your hopes. It can only be born in the present tense of your own awareness, in the purified space you consciously clear for it. When you understand this, you stop looking to the sky for a sign and begin to tend to the atmosphere of your own consciousness. You prepare not a physical nursery, but a state of humble, wordless welcome. The force is universal, impersonal, infinite. But its manifestation, its becoming tangible as peace, as supply, as healing, as guidance in your life, is intimate and personal. It requires a point of specific focus, and that point is your own conscious, quiet heart, stripped of all agenda, simply saying, "Here I am." This alignment is the work of a moment, but that moment is now. It is the only time this force knows, this state of inner silence and vigil is not a passive emptiness, but an active, potent receptivity. It is the conscious cultivation of a quality of listening that hears beneath the world's clamor. Most of us believe that to receive something, we must reach out and grasp for it. We must formulate our desires, speak our affirmations, and exert our will. This is the way of the world, and it has its place in human affairs. But it is not the way of receiving the impartation of which we speak. That comes not by taking, but by being taken. Not by speaking, but by becoming so still that the only voice remaining is the one that has been speaking all along. Your entire life. You have been trying to tune the radio station by shouting at it. The vigil is the act of finally, patiently, turning the dial with a quiet hand until the static ceases and the clear signal comes through. Consider the experience of true listening in your daily life. You are in a conversation with someone you love, and they are sharing something deeply important to them. If you are merely waiting for your turn to speak, if your mind is busy formulating your own response, you will hear their words, but you will miss the meaning, the heart behind them. But when you truly listen, you quiet your own internal dialogue. You give them your full, unadorned attention. In that silent space of your own making, their truth can land. It can be fully received and understood. This is a faint echo of the inner vigil. You are turning the same quality of attention not to another person, but to the presence of infinite consciousness that is seeking to communicate with itself as you. The noise that must cease is the noise of your own preconceptions about what you need, your own timelines for when things should happen, your own frantic mental activity that masquerades as prayer or spiritual work. This vigil is maintained amid the very activities that seem to oppose it. The outer celebration of the season is not your enemy. It is your training ground. The crowded mall, the bustling kitchen, the travel plans, these are not obstacles to your silence. They are the stable in which you are to discover it. While your body moves through these motions, you practice holding an inner post. You feel the frustration of a long line, and instead of feeding it with internal grumbling, you notice it, and you consciously release your identification with it. You return to the simple awareness that you are here, in this body, in this moment, and beneath the surface churn of emotion, there is a depth that is untouched. You hear the familiar carol playing for the 100th time, and instead of letting the mind critique it or wander, you use the sound as a trigger to return to that inner depth, to listen for the truth behind the melody. The vigil is this constant, gentle return. It is not a state you achieve and then own. It is a posture you assume again and again as the world pulls at your sleeves. Think of how you wait for something you know is truly coming. The arrival of a beloved friend after a long absence. You prepare the house. You glance at the clock, but not with anxiety. There is a sweet anticipation, a certainty that fills the waiting itself with a kind of joy. The waiting is not empty. It is charged with the coming event. This is the thrill of the vigil. You are not waiting for a date. You are waiting with a quiet certainty for a touch of grace, you know, in the depths of your being is already on its way. Your silence is the prepared room. Your release of personal desire is the cleared space at the table. Your attentive awareness is the lamp left burning in the window. This is why it is called a vigil. It is a watch. But you are not watching the sky for a star. You are watching the horizon of your own consciousness for the first light of a dawn that comes from within. All external things, the gifts, the gatherings, the very date itself, are but symbols pointing you back to this inner work. They are the shepherds in the field, reminding you to attend to your own inner landscape, for the announcement comes there first. The moment you become still, truly still, you step out of chronological time and into this quality of waiting that is itself a form of union. In that union, the distinction between the giver and the receiver begins to dissolve. The silence is no longer your silence. It becomes the listening ear of the universe itself. And in that profound and active stillness, the first stirring of the new can be felt, not as an answer to a prayer you spoke, but as the living presence that was there before the prayer was ever formed. This is the secret doorway, and the vigil is the hand that turns the latch from within. This release of personal desire is the most misunderstood and most critical step. The mind immediately rebels, thinking, but if I do not desire, if I do not want, then for what am I praying? For what am I hoping? This confusion arises because you believe you must hold the image of the thing you want in order for it to come to you. This is the way of the world, but it is not the way of the spirit. Your personal desire, no matter how noble, is a finite thing. It is a shape you have constructed from the clay of your own past experiences and limited understanding. To present this shape to the infinite and say, fill this, is to limit the impartation to the confines of your own imagination. It is to ask for a cup of water when you stand at the shore of an endless ocean. The surrender is not a surrender to loss, but to a gain so vast your personal desire cannot comprehend its contours. Consider a simple act from daily life. You are teaching a child to draw. You have in your mind a beautiful, complex picture. You desire for the child to replicate it perfectly. You hover, you guide their hand, you correct their lines. The result is stiff, a poor copy of your vision, and the child feels no joy in it. Now, release that desire. Give the child the tools, the paper, the colors, and then you step back. You create a space of safety and freedom, but you impose no image. In that space, something miraculous occurs. The child creates something entirely original, something you could never have conceived, full of a life and a truth that your preconceived picture lacked. Your release of a specific outcome did not produce nothing. It allowed for something infinitely more creative to come through. This is the principle. Your personal desire is the rigid picture. The inner silence and vigil you maintain is the act of providing the paper and the colors, the purified consciousness, and then stepping back in trust, allowing the original and unimaginable artistry of the infinite to manifest in a form that will astonish you. Your life is cluttered with these personal petitions. You want a specific solution to a financial problem, a particular outcome in a relationship, a defined path to better health. These are the images you are holding up. And in your holding, you are straining. You are blocking the very field through which the answer must flow. The strain is the evidence that you are operating from personal will. The impartation does not come through strain. It comes through recognition. It comes when you can, for one holy instant, Drop the picture of the thing you think you need and turn your full attention to the presence of the source that is itself the substance of all form. You are not asking for a better financial picture. You are opening to the conscious awareness that substance itself is infinite, omnipresent, and unfolding as your experience. The form that takes may be the specific solution you imagined, or it may be a door opening in a direction you had never considered, dissolving the problem itself. When you cling to the form, you may miss the door. This is the great inner turning. It feels to the human sense like a risk. It feels like letting go of the life raft in the middle of the ocean. But the truth is, you are only letting go of the raft to discover you are being held up by the ocean itself. Your personal desire is the raft, a small, man-made thing you clutch in fear. The ocean is the infinite substance, the living consciousness that already encompasses you completely. The thrill here is the thrill of faith in its purest sense, not faith that you will get what you want, but faith that what is wholly good and is already in action on your behalf. You exchange the burden of managing outcomes for the freedom of witnessing grace. So how do you practice this in the midst of real need? You feel the worry, the specific want, rise up. Instead of following the thought out into its fearful story, you acknowledge it. You see it for what it is, a personal desire born of a sense of separation. And then, consciously, you place it aside. You say, not with words, but with a movement of awareness, I release the shape of my want. I stand here, open and empty. You do not then wait for a new, better shaped desire to come. You wait in the emptiness. You abide in the vigil of not knowing. This emptiness is not a void, it is a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. Into this cleared space, where your personal will has ceased its clamor, something flows. It is not an answer to the question you asked. It is a presence that transforms the one who was asking. It might come as a sudden knowing of what step to take, a step that had been invisible to you before because you were looking in the wrong direction. It might come as a profound peace that makes the problem itself seem insignificant. It might come as an unexpected provision from a source you had overlooked. The form is not yours to dictate. Your work is to prepare the space by releasing the clutter of your own designs. This is the supreme act of trust, and it is the very gateway through which the limitless finds its specific, perfect expression in the conditions of your life. This is the axis upon which everything turns. The event must take place within the very fabric of your own consciousness. You have been taught to look outward for salvation, for a sign, for a Messiah to come from the clouds, for a miraculous intervention to descend upon your circumstances from some distant heaven. This is the great misdirection. The stable is not a location in Judea. It is the innermost chamber of your own awareness, the place you have perhaps considered too humble, too commonplace, too crowded with the beasts of your own human instincts to be a fit dwelling for anything sacred. And yet, this is the precise and only place where the birth can occur. It cannot happen in a concept. in a doctrine, in a future time, or in the life of another. The impartation seeks embodiment, and you are the temple. The transformation you seek in your outer world is nothing but the visible echo of a prior and complete transformation that has already taken place within this silent inner space. Consider the most powerful experiences of your life. A moment of genuine forgiveness where a long-held bitterness simply dissolves. Where did that happen? Was it on the person who wronged you? No, it happened within you. The entire universe of your relationship to that event shifted in the hidden laboratory of your own heart and mind. The other person may never have known, but your world was reborn. Or consider a moment of deep, creative inspiration when an idea arrives fully formed, solving a problem that intellect alone could not crack. That idea did not land on your desk. It arose from the depths of your own consciousness, as if from a source you did not know you contained. These are glimpses, faint reflections of the principle. The forgiveness, the idea, these were the manifestations, but their birthplace was always, irrevocably, within. The Christmas story is the allegory for this eternal truth. The infinite must be born in the manger of your own finite awareness, amidst the straw of your human thoughts and the animals of your primal instincts, because there is no other place for it to be real for you. Your daily life is a constant, often frantic, attempt to rearrange the stable from the outside. You try new methods, adopt new philosophies, seek new teachers, move to new locations, all in the hope that the outer change will induce the inner peace. This is putting the cart before the horse. It is like trying to heat a room by painting the thermometer red. The thermometer reads the temperature. It does not create it. Your outer world is the thermometer, reading the state of your inner consciousness. To focus all your energy on the reading is to miss the furnace entirely. The furnace is within. The birth is the kindling of a new fire there. When that fire is lit, you will not need to anxiously check the thermometer. You will feel its warmth permeating every corner of your life, and the outer conditions will inevitably, often in surprising ways, adjust to register this new, living reality. This is why the inner vigil and the surrender of personal desire are not spiritual exercises for their own sake. They are the specific preparations of this inner birthplace. The vigil is the act of clearing out the noise, of making space in the in. The surrender is the turning away of the personal ego, which would insist on its own decorations and plans for the event, to make room for the original, uncontaminated truth. You are, in this sacred work, both the innkeeper and the expectant mother. You are the one who decides there is no room in the upper chambers of intellect and human reason, and who must therefore offer the humble ground, level place of simple, wordless being. And you are also the one who carries the potential, who feels the quickening of something new and holy that is not of your own personal making. The thrill here is the ultimate thrill of taking full responsibility for your spiritual reality. It is the end of seeking and the beginning of witnessing. It means you stop waiting. You turn your gaze from the horizon and you look with rapt attention at the ground of your own being. What is stirring there? What gentle knocking is happening at the door of your own heart? The promise is not that something will come to you from across a vast distance, but that something already present, already tabernacled within you, will become so alive, so palpable, so fully recognized that it takes over the government of your life. Its peace will govern your reactions. Its wisdom will govern your decisions. Its infinite substance will govern your supply. This is the manifestation. It is not the acquisition of things, but the emergence of a new consciousness from within, which then, by its own nature, shapes a world around it that reflects its harmony, its completeness, its joy. You are not building a new life from the outside in. You are attending a birth from the inside out. And the moment you fully accept that the stable is here, within this very awareness that is reading these words, the entire journey shifts from pilgrimage to recognition. The star stops moving in the sky because you realize you have been standing under its light all along. This alignment is not a vague wish or a hopeful sentiment. It is a specific, conscious act of attention, as deliberate and precise as tuning a fine instrument to a given pitch. The impartation is not a scattered rain that falls everywhere equally. It is a focused current, and you must become the conductor for it. Think of your consciousness not as a passive field, but as a lens. Most of the time, that lens is clouded, scratched, and turned toward 1,000 different objects, your problems, your memories, your plans. The act of alignment is the act of cleaning that lens and then, with unwavering intention, turning it to face the light. The light is already shining. Your work is to remove everything within your own mental and emotional atmosphere that refracts it, diffuses it, or blocks it entirely. This is not a prayer of supplication, but a prayer of positioning. You are not begging for the sun to rise. You are consciously removing the shutters you have built over your own windows. Consider a practical example from your daily life. You have an important meeting, and you need to be clear, focused, and present. You know that if you walk into that room with your mind cluttered by the morning's argument or by anxiety about the outcome, you will not be at your best. So you take a moment. You close your eyes. You consciously release the mental chatter. You take a deep breath and center yourself in the present moment. You align your attention with the task at hand. This is a small, earthly version of the spiritual alignment we speak of. You are not creating a new skill for the meeting. You are clearing away the static so that the intelligence and capability already within you can flow through without distortion. Now, translate that to the cosmic scale. The meeting is your encounter with the infinite. The clutter is your entire personal sense of self with all its wants, fears, and history. The alignment is that same conscious centering, but now you are not aligning with a task. You are aligning with the very source of intelligence itself. You are turning the lens from the reflection to the original light. This is why it is a conscious act. It requires your participation. Grace does not override your will, it awaits your consent. That consent is given in the moment you direct the full force of your attention away from the problem and onto the presence. You are not focusing on the lack of peace, you are focusing on the very substance of peace until you feel its reality more than you feel the disturbance. You are not battling the sense of lack. You are turning your gaze to the conscious awareness of infinite substance as the only reality. This shift in attention is the mightiest force you possess. It is not a denial of the outer condition. It is a change of foundational reality. You are, in that instant, choosing which sun will illuminate your landscape, the feeble, flickering sun of human circumstance, or the eternal, unwavering sun of spiritual truth. The alignment is the choice for the latter, held with such conviction that it becomes your only standpoint. The thrill here is the discovery of your own agency in the grand scheme. You are not a leaf tossed on the river of fate, hoping to drift past a blessing. You are the navigator who can adjust the sails to catch the prevailing wind. The wind is always blowing. The current of impartation is always flowing. Your silence created the receptivity. Your surrender cleared the decks. Now, this conscious act of attention is the setting of the sail. It is the active, dynamic element. It is you saying, with the full authority of your being, I am here. I am turned. I am ready to receive not what I think I need, but what thou wouldst give. This is not a passive state. It is the most active state of being alive, for it is the activity of your true self operating in harmony with its source. Do this now, in this moment. Feel the difference between thinking about a concept and actually performing the inner gesture. Think of a minor irritation. Now, instead of dwelling on it, consciously shift your attention to the feeling of space itself, the space in the room, the space around your thoughts. Rest your awareness there for just a breath. In that instant, you have performed the act. You have aligned, however briefly, with a reality larger than the irritation. The irritation may still be present, but it is no longer the center of your universe. You have recentered yourself in a field of awareness. Scale this up. Apply this conscious pivot to the deepest needs of your heart. Do not plead for the need to be met. Pivot your attention entirely to the felt sense of the divine presence as the very substance of all that is. Hold that attention. This is the alignment. It is in this focused, conscious holding that the inner birth becomes not just a possibility, but an imminent event. The lens is clean. It is turned. The light, encountering no more obstruction, must now reveal itself in the clarity of your own seeing. This is the precise mechanism, the practical mystery, and it is available in the very next breath you take. The profound promise of this work is that the opportunity is utterly impersonal, yet it is immediately available to your personal consciousness. This may seem a paradox, but it is the very heart of the mystery. The sun does not shine for you personally, it shines by its own nature. And if you step from the shadows, you are bathed in its light. The force of divine impartation operates on this same principle of infinite, unconditional giving. It does not pick a chosen few based on merit, virtue, or the intensity of their pleas. It does not consult a calendar of saints. It is the very activity of life itself, ceaselessly pouring forth. Your eligibility is not determined by your past, your worthiness, or your understanding. It is determined solely by your position. Are you standing in the shadows of your own misconceptions, or have you stepped into the light of conscious awareness? The availability is constant, the current unbroken. The only variable is your conscious recognition and acceptance of what is already freely being given. This impersonality is your greatest assurance. It means the gift is not contingent upon your fluctuating emotional state, your intellectual grasp of theology, or your ability to perfect yourself. You cannot earn it. You can only allow it. A wave does not ask the shore if it is worthy before it washes upon it. The shore simply must be present to receive it. Your personal struggles, your doubts, even your sense of unworthiness, these are not barriers to the wave. They are merely features of the shoreline. The wave touches them all. Your work is not to become a different shoreline, but to become aware that you are already being touched by the ocean. The immediacy is startling. It is not a promise for a future time after sufficient meditation or study. It is a present fact. The birth is not coming, it is seeking to happen now. The alignment is not for a future event, it is for this instant. The stable is not being prepared, it is the ground of your current awareness, exactly as it is in this moment, beasts and all. Look at the natural world for an example of this principle. The law of gravity is utterly impersonal. It does not decide to act on a ripe apple, but spare the green one. It is a constant force. The apple falls when its stem can no longer hold it against that constant, available force. Your moment of falling into grace, of receiving the impartation, is not the activation of a new force, but the release of your own resistance to the force that has always been present. Your personal worries are the stem. The inner vigil, the surrender, the conscious alignment, these are the processes by which that stem is loosened, so that you may naturally drop into the welcoming arms of the law that has been holding you all along. You are not creating the catch. You are ceasing to cling. This understanding removes all spiritual anxiety and competition. There is no hierarchy here, no special path for the initiated that is close to you. The most profound mystic and the most earnest beginner have access to the same immediate current through the same simple, conscious act, turning within. The thrill here is the democratization of divinity. The secret was never hidden in a codex or reserved for a monastery. It is hidden in plain sight within the mechanism of your own attention. The man in traffic, if he releases his frustration and turns his awareness to the stillness beneath the noise, is performing the same essential act as the sage on the mountaintop. The mother up at night with a child who in her exhaustion releases her anxiety into a silent trust is aligning with the same impartation. The opportunity is woven into the fabric of ordinary consciousness, waiting to be claimed not by the special, but by the awake. Therefore, the urgency of this work has nothing to do with a celestial deadline, and everything to do with your own liberation from suffering. Before December 28th ends is not a threat from a withholding God. It is the pressing, loving reminder that you need not spend another day, another hour in the shadow of lack when the light is shining now. The calendar date is the symbol of your own readiness to let the old cycle of seeking end and allow the new cycle of conscious reception to begin. Why wait through another revolution of the earth when the axis is within you? The impartation does not know time. It only knows the readiness of the receptacle. Your silent, surrendered, aligned consciousness is that readiness. It is the finished preparation. In the impersonal economy of spirit, that state of readiness is the only trigger that is ever needed. The moment it is achieved, even for an instant, the gate is not opened. It is realized to have never been closed. The infinite has always been imparting itself. You have simply, through a series of conscious inner acts, turned to face the direction from which the gift has always been flowing. And in that turning, you find yourself not reaching, but receiving, not seeking, but found.